Hello, everybody. How the hell you doing out there? It's Doc Kane coming at you from Kobe, Japan on June 6th, 2021 with the podcast Marketers Who Can't Market. Today is a book day, right? 52 weeks of reading. This is the third week that I'm going through it with you. Of course, I'm reading all the time, but I just started this 3 weeks ago. And it's kind of a fun little thing for me. I love kind of recapping what it is I'm learning, tipping you off to some cool books that you should be reading. And this week, as well as at the tail end of last week, I have been experiencing some amazingly tactical, useful books that I think you're going to like if you spend the money on them, whether you use Amazon to buy them or you go to your local bookstore, if it exists anymore. Maybe you borrow it from a friend. Maybe you use Scribd, which I also use and cannot get enough of. Scribd and Amazon Kindle are like my best buddies. They're always with me. I wish, though, that I could read Scribd on my Kindle. That would be wonderful. I can download the books, but they're too big. I can't send them over. Maybe you can help me with a good way to do that. But anyway, that's what we're talking about today. So, and a few of these books or rather all of these books I'm not yet finished with, so I'm kind of reading them all in tandem, and you're familiar with that if you've been listening for the past 2 weeks. I tend to read a lot of books at once, and this week is no different. So, let's kick it off, shall we? First book is a marketing book, and it's called The $1 Million Coach. And I almost did not download this book. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I almost didn't download it. You can get it otherwise. Because it's got this word coach in the title. I kind of hate that word. I don't really ever want to be called a coach. To me, coaches were men and women that I looked up to as a kid who coached me literally in basketball or soccer or baseball. And they did a good job, and I learned things from them. They're coaches, right? I had teachers, I had trainers, I had coaches, I had therapists, too, maybe. But I'm not a coach. A business coach to me seems kind of like poser language in a way. So I almost didn't download this book, and I'm sorry if you're calling yourself a coach, but if you are, I'd call myself a consultant instead. Coach is just kind of not really doing it for me. This book is fucking good, though. It's by Taki Moore. It's called $1 Million Coach. It's got a subtitle, 9 Strategies That Drive Something Gazillion Something or Others. I can't see it, but it's really, really good. And why is it good? It's good because it is probably the first book of all of the sales books, because it's really a sales book, the first sales book I've ever read that gives natural sounding dialogue when discussing how to pitch. It's really, really good. I literally highlighted, I think, 3 pages at one point in time, the entire text on 3 pages, which I never do. Because it's often so unnecessary, right? But this book is very, very, very good. It's a great tool for you if you're kind of an introverted seller, or you're one of my biggest sales trainers. What am I trying to say here? One of the guys that I really love when it comes to sales training, his name is Ari Galper, and I bought his material many, many years ago when I was learning how to be a forklift salesman. He talks about honest selling, and he's great. I credit him with giving me this word that I use all the time, which is open to. Would you be open to having a conversation with me? Would you be open to meeting next week? It's so easy to get out of your mouth and to send via email to someone, and it's a very warm, kind of very casual way of saying hello to somebody and asking them for a meeting. This book is also like that, so check it out. $1 Million Coach, Taki Moore, you'll love it. I'm about halfway through it, and I can't recommend it enough. It is a wonderful compliment to Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand. Now, I can't remember if I mentioned that I had started reading this second book from Donald Miller because I had finished Marketing Made Simple by him. And he references StoryBrand in there because this is his first book, I believe, other than his nonfiction books. And this one is equally good, right? So he wraps this whole idea of creating the good website and the framework for the website that he talks about extensively in Marketing Made Simple. But here he's really applying story language. So as a screenwriter, can I really call myself a screenwriter? No. So I've been a story analyst. I've read scripts for Hollywood Distribution Company for a couple years. I mentioned I was an intern for them, and I read for film festivals and things like that. And I've worked on my own screenplay, although I haven't finished it. But regardless, that's what he applies here. So he's talking about lots of things that screenwriters and those who appreciate screenwriting, that would be me, are familiar with. This kind of very structured approach to writing that hooks a reader, that copywriters are very familiar with as well. And he lays it all out. And not only is he talking about the language that you use, but he's talking about how you structure your entire marketing plan based on this kind of language. So it's not just about how to write, it's about how to incorporate the writing into your marketing plan. So I don't care who you are, if you're a freelance writer or you're a small business consultant, you're a marketer in a regular, in a large company and you're part of a marketing team, or you're a marketing agency person, this is a good book and you should read it. So check it out, Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand. You'll dig it. Okay, so those are the two big marketing books. I also started reading a copywriting book that I have been really enjoying, and it's called The 16-Word Sales Letter by Elvaldo Albuquerque. Elvaldo is an Agora copywriter. You may know Agora if you're into online marketing and copywriting in general. Stansberry Research, these two names are ones you should look up, especially if you're interested in financial copywriting. Their style is super, super, super bombastic, and it's designed to play some mind games with people. However, there's good meat to this book. It's very, very short. This one, I'm about a fourth of the way through it. And it's good. I like that he gives lots of very concrete examples. So many books of all genres, nonfiction, will reference technique and theory without providing examples. This book does a pretty good job of doing that. He even references this particular book by way of example. So you can get this on Scribd. It's quite expensive on Kindle. But my Scribd subscription allows me to get it for free. Basically, I pay $9.99 a month, I think, for Scribd, which is, again, something I can't live without. So check it out. He basically lays out how to structure a sales letter. So, sales letters, you love them or you hate them, they do have a practical application. And you can take some of this, the style of the sales letter, and incorporate it into your web pages. I'm not a huge fan of incorporating it into email because it feels spammy. I feel that there's very much a limited life for this kind of copywriting, and it exists in certain places. When it gets twisted about, it's easy for the reader to feel it. So this sort of stuff, people have read this book and other books with regard to copywriting and tried to game LinkedIn, for example. So if you've seen this like bullshit posting on LinkedIn where you got one sentence on every line and then a break and two sentences and then a break, that's basically direct response style layout. It's a direct response style layout, and it works in a letter because letters are wider, right? And so you're including two or three sentences and then a break, and it looks fine to the eye. But on LinkedIn and these other places, Facebook ads, it looks spammy and people can feel it. Sure, some people will click on these things, And some people will buy what these particular sales letter type ads are pitching. But my opinion is it's a particular type of audience, and it's usually not the kind of customer that you're really going to kind of want long term. These are the kind of customers that are going to be complaining later. They don't really get the product. They buy it completely on impulse. And then you're going to be dealing with a shit ton of complaints. You know, it's a pain in the ass. Wander through some of these funnel forums and you'll see what I'm talking about. Those guys are really, really, really good at copywriting. But in many cases, they're pulling in the wrong audience. You know, look at the Samcart forums, look at the ClickFunnels forums, even probably Kartra. I haven't seen. You know, people. These tools are very, very complex, and the way they sell them is a bit too simple, and they're getting the wrong people in. So this book talks about sales letters, and you can learn a lot about it. Write a sales letter. Write an actual piece of mail that you send to somebody. Try and get a job with Agora, maybe. Make a lot of money with them. Check out this book. It's good. Elvaldo, Albuquerque. I'll link to it below. I should add that when I downloaded that, I downloaded two other things that he also mentions in his book, and I'll probably get around to reading them next week. One is called The One-Sentence Persuasion Course by Blair Warren. Looks like a very, very short book, 40 pages. And Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. That book is about 260 pages. And I also downloaded, but haven't yet started, Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Caldini. This book has been on my reading list for a long time, and I haven't spent any time with it. But this week I will be getting to it since I'm kind of doing a lot of copywriting and thinking about how I'm going to create my own offer and product and course to tie into the things I've been reading lately, like Live Launch, like Traffic Secrets from Russell Brunson, all this stuff. It's kind of all coming together, and these books are helping me get there. So that's it on the business stuff. I wanted to mention two other things I'm reading that I would like to share with you. So one, I mentioned last week that I had downloaded the book by Elizabeth Becker called You Don't Belong Here, which is about female journalists reporting in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. And so far, I really love this book. It's basically, she focuses, I believe, on three reporters. I'm only in the first section of the book at this point, where she's talking about one of the journalists. And this particular journalist, whose name I'm forgetting at this time, I apologize, was the only... There goes my mic. Oh my God. Was the only female journalist in Vietnam for something like 2 years in the very, very beginning of the war, 65, 66. I think she was there in 66. And she was a French citizen who came who went to Vietnam, I should say, to become a reporter. And she was mainly a photographer. And she ran into some problems. So she ran into problems with fellow journalists, male journalists, who seemed to have some issues with her. She may or may not, depending on who you spoke with at the time or how you interpret the research now that she's passed away, she may have rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I'm reading now about how her press credentials were revoked and then reinstated, and then now the part I'm at now is they're about to be threatened again for revocation. So a cool book. It's written by Ms. Becker was a reporter herself, and she met some of these folks, if not all of them. I'm just getting into it, so I really don't know the whole story yet, but I like it. Something to check out if you like Vietnam, if you're into journalism and media. Looks like a good book. The reviews are fantastic. And then the last thing I'm reading is I started to do, my father bought me a masterclass subscription, which I've been dying to dip my toes into for some time now. And he got me a gift subscription for my wife and I to check out, because we run this Japanese literature translation company that you may have heard me talk about before called Maple. And we're writers. We love writing and editing. And there's a ton of great classes that Masterclass has about writing. And I'm also a musician. They have classes on there by Tom Morello and Carlos Santana, people like that. So I'm really digging it. And I also like to cook, and there's cooking shows, right? So last week, over lunch myself, as I was eating, I watched Niki Tanaka's modern Japanese cooking class, and I dug it. It was cool. I learned a couple of new things. When I first started it maybe a month ago or so, I learned all about white miso, which I had no idea about. I'd never bought white miso before, so now there's some in the fridge, and we've been using it occasionally. And in her class, the delivery is very nice and well-paced. The photography is excellent. Surprisingly, learned a number of things about knife technique just by watching her cut. She's not even really talking that much about knife technique, but watching the camera angles was very helpful to kind of see how she's slicing through sashimi and things of that nature. Cool tips on soup and keeping your broth clean, stuff like that. But anyway, when you subscribe to Masterclass, they also have a downloadable syllabus kind of. So I'm reading that because I'm going to do a review of each class that I watch on Nihon Hustle. So if you're interested in getting a feel for what these classes are like, you might want to subscribe yourself. Be on the lookout for those. So her class write-up will come up sometime this week. And then starting tomorrow, I'll be dipping my my free time toes into Aaron Sorkin's screenwriting class. And that looks really, really wonderful. I've already watched the first 2 or 3 classes there. But I'm going to go all in starting tomorrow. So there you have it. So yeah, I was reading her instructor guide, which I can't link to, except to say that you should check out Masterclass if you dig that. All right. Okay, if you dig that idea. So that's it. That's it for the podcast. That's what I'm reading. Haven't finished anything this week, but by the time this rolls around to next Sunday, I will have read many of these, and a couple more will be on the docket. All right. Hope you're having a great week, a great day, doing something cool. Reading. I hope you're reading. Reading is good for you, right? And we'll catch up with you tomorrow on another episode of Marketers Who Can't Market. Of course, if you got anything out of this podcast, I would love it. I would be indebted to you if you hit the like button there and maybe subscribed. It helps me out a little bit. Makes me feel kind of like I'm contributing. I know I am, but sometimes when that sort of stuff doesn't happen, you wonder, like, who the hell's listening to this thing? Just me, my wife, my dog. So that sort of feedback is always wonderful. So thank you for those of you who have already done it. Thank you if you're about to do it right now. All right, take it easy. We'll catch up with you tomorrow. See you later. Bye-bye.